Welcome, foolish mortals. There's no turning back now.
Welcome, 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 foolish mortals. That's right, there is no turning back now. Welcome to the Disney Life Happy Wife podcast. I am your host, Kristen, your ghost host, I guess we'll say, because, I love Haunted Mansion. So I am your ghost host, Kristen, and you know me, if it's a Disney life, then I'm a happy wife. And what's this podcast all about? Like I tell you guys every episode, this podcast talks about all things Disney, not just Disney parks, not just Disney rides, not just Disney travel, not just Disney movies. We talk about it all. If it's Disney related, I'm going to talk about it. And it's great. It's great talking about all things Disney, not just the parks, not just the clothes, not just the toys and all of that kind of good stuff. Although we love it all, we're not just going to be in one box. We're talking about it all. So without further ado, last episode, I was talking to you guys about it was going to be my very first solo Disney trip. Now, what's a solo Disney trip? A solo Disney trip is one that you take by yourself. No friends, no family. You're just going to the happiest or most magical place on earth by yourself. And I had never done that. I had always thought about it, never had the time to do it, never got up the nerve to do it. And my husband had come to me and said, you know what? Let's plan a short Disney trip for you, a short solo trip. And I was like, oh, are you sure? You really think that we can do it? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. You should do it. So I did. Beginning of October, right after my sister's wedding, my sister got married on October 1st. So congratulations to my sister, Jess, and my brand new brother-in-law, Rocco. Very happy for you guys. I was maid of honor, or matron of honor, I guess, because I'm married, at their wedding. Got to give a speech. It was great. And now my family has a couple of new members to that family. I have a new brother-in-law and a new niece, and I am pumped about it. So right after the wedding, a few days after, I jumped into getting ready for Disney mode, I guess we'll say. Packing and laundry and shopping and all that kind of stuff, which is my usual a few days before any Disney trip. So I got all my stuff. I got a brand new suitcase because we needed a new big suitcase, and packed it all up. And very early in the morning on October 4th, I headed straight for Boston. And very, very early in the morning, I got on a plane and headed to Orlando. And I was super nervous. Flying by myself doesn't necessarily make me nervous. I tend to be a bit of a nervous flyer as it is, but I have had some history of flying by myself. So that part itself didn't make me nervous. But I think the nerves of going to Disney by myself, kind of made me a little bit nervous. But, talking to my husband and going over things to help with the anxiety of, doing this by myself, it helped me a lot. So I held on to all of that, boarded the plane, headed to Orlando, and I could not tell you the feeling I had when we touched down at MCO and I got off the plane. I can't even tell you what that was like. So just the feeling of being back there and being back in Orlando was amazing. And this was the last time that I knew I was going to ride the Magical Express. So I was excited about that. It was a little bit different from usual. Usually when you ride the Magical Express, you get these special yellow tags. You put them on your suitcase at the airport and or on the way to the airport. And when you check your bag, that's it. Magical Express picks up your bag from MCO and brings it to your room sometime later the day that you get there. Well, now with Magical Express, at least through the rest of the year, they aren't doing it that way. So what they're going to do is they're going to take your, you drop off your bag like you normally would on any normal flight, and then you have to go to baggage claim when you get there and pick it up. And then you head over to Magical Express, you check in, and they take your bag and put it underneath the bus, the way they would, I guess with any other luggage that you would be bringing. So did that, grabbed my bag, headed over to Magical Express, checked in, went over to my line for the Contemporary because that's where I stayed. I stayed at the Contemporary. And I was so excited. I was the only person in my line at that point. It was still kind of early in the morning. I want to say I got there probably around 10 o'clock. So it was a little bit early, and there was a family next to me who I think was going to Grand Floridian. So that was cool. Got on the bus, and it was such a welcome home feeling to be sitting on the Magical Express. And that's something that I'm going to miss when they don't have the Magical Express anymore. I'm going to miss that feeling. The feeling of when I would get on the bus, how excited and happy and welcome I would feel. And it's going to be kind of a bummer that that's not going to be there anymore. So got on the bus, headed out, made a few stops along the way, and then we stopped at the Contemporary. Now, I had never stayed at the Contemporary before, as long as I can remember. I mean, it could have been that we stayed at the Contemporary once when I was a kid, because it was one of the only hotels when I went as a child. But as far as I know, I've never stayed there before. I've been there plenty of times for, going to Chef Mickey's, but I've never actually stayed there. So I was pretty excited to stay there. My husband and my daughter have never really shown that much of an interest in staying there. You'd think, it's so cool that monorail goes through the main building. But yeah, they never seem to really have an interest. So it was a good time for me to check it out, to be on a solo trip. So I stayed there. I stayed in one of the Garden Wing, I think, building. I think that's what it's called. I'm sorry. I stayed there and I loved it. I looked out, I saw, grass when I looked out my window. But one of the coolest things, and I'm going to kind of jump ahead just to tell you how cool this was. So staying in the Garden Wing, I was able to look out the window and see, I could see the pool area, which the pool over at the Contemporary looked super cool. I didn't even get to go in it because I was only there for 3 days. First and last were actually travel days too. I always take the first flight out in the morning and the last flight out at night. So that still gives me, 3/4 of a day in the park, or half a day in the park. But so from my room, I could look out and I could see the pool and everything. And on the first night, I was in my room and I was able to see fireworks from my room. I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing ever, because I've never stayed in a deluxe resort where I could see that. We stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge the last time that we went, which was very early February of 2020, before the pandemic started. And we were able to look out of our room and we could see on the horizon, we could see Everest from Animal Kingdom. So that was really cool. But to be able to look out my window and see fireworks was amazing. So that was a really cool thing about staying at the Contemporary. I didn't get to try any of the restaurants there, really. I didn't have any reservations for them. I was able to grab some yummy desserts and try those out. If you go over to my Instagram, my main Disney Instagram, it's at Disney Roadie Mom. So it's DisneyRhodyMom. If you go over to that Instagram, you'll see I actually just did a post on Monday of a bunch of the Disney food that I tried on my solo trip, a bunch of the snacks and some of the food that I tried there. And one of the things that I tried was this really great cake that it was a Halloween cake that they had, and it was delicious. And I got it when I was at the Contemporary. So the coolest thing about staying at the Contemporary is the monorail. And I took the monorail as much as humanly possible. It was my main way of getting to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. And yeah, that was pretty, if I had a reservation at the Grand Floridian, so I took that there. It was really great. So once I got to the hotel, I was lucky enough that I had done the online check-in. And when I got there, got onto the Magical Express, they sent me a text message and they're like, hey, your room's ready. I was like, perfect. So as soon as I got there, grabbed my bags, I headed over to my room, put my bags down, unpacked, kind of freshened up, and headed over to my first park of the day. And I say first park of the day, usually when we go, and the first day is usually just kind of a, whichever park kind of day. I usually don't do more than one park. It's been a long day, but being by myself, I was like, you know what? I want to see every park while I'm here, even if it's only for a little bit. So that's exactly what I did. I decided to head over to Magic Kingdom, and then a little while later, I headed over to Animal Kingdom. But I did something really cool when I was there, and my husband and I had talked about it. We planned about it. When I went, one of the first things that I did, so I went to my resort, I got changed, headed over to Magic Kingdom, and I went directly to customer service or customer relations, guest relations. I forget what it's called, guest relations. So I went over there and I talked to somebody, and I did something I never thought I would do. I became an annual pass holder. I know, I'm surprised. I'm shocked myself that I'm still an annual pass holder. Every time I see my annual pass in my wallet, I literally I'm amazed. I'm amazed at it. So I look at it and I still can't believe it. So I went over, I became an annual pass holder. Now there's only one annual pass if you're an out of state or a non-DVC member that you can get. And it's the most expensive one. I want to say it's the pirate one. No, it's the Incredipass. I'm sorry. It's the Incredipass. It's the one that's over $1,000. But you have no blackout dates, which is great because, coming all the way from Rhode Island, it's kind of a big thing. If you plan a trip, you don't want to have any blackout dates. So I got my annual pass and I was so excited. I looked at it and I was like, I can't believe this. I can't believe I am finally an annual pass holder. All those times I see people with your annual pass holder, stickers and magnets on your cars and people getting the discounts in the stores. I'm like, I'm one of you now. When they ask you, hey, do you have any discounts? Are you, DVC or an AP? I'm like, I'm an annual pass holder. That's right. I have a discount. And that's one of the coolest things about it. So I got my annual pass, and it's really great because the annual pass card that they gave me is actually a 50th anniversary card. So I was so excited about that. It has Mickey on it, and he's my favorite mouse. So that made me happy. And I went in and I, enjoyed some time over in Magic Kingdom. And first thing that I did upon walking into Magic Kingdom, I'm like, you know what? I hope I get to see some cavalcades so I can take pictures. I told my daughter that I was going to try and find Donald Duck and get a picture of him, him waving or whatever, because she loves Donald. And I walk in, and as soon as I'm walking into Main Street. What do I see going by on the left? The Tinkerbell cavalcade. I'm like, oh man, I miss Tinkerbell. I was so upset because I love Tinkerbell. So I start walking down Main Street and I see them kind of, keeping people out of the road. And I'm like, what's going on? And I knew that the parades weren't back. So I'm like, what's happening? And then I look up and there's another cavalcade coming. I'm like, all right. So I jump over to the side of Main Street. There's nobody there. And who do I see coming down the street but the Fab, I don't even want to call them Fab 5, Fab 6, I guess, coming down the street in a cavalcade. I got to see Pluto and Goofy and Minnie and Mickey and Daisy, and that's right, Donald. And if you are a follower of mine on my Disney Roadie Mom Instagram, you have seen the reel that I put up of that cavalcade that I saw, and you got to see Donald wave, and I got a picture of him. And it was amazing that within the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes that I'm in my favorite park on my very first solo trip, I see Donald, and that he gave me a wave and I got a picture and I sent it to Emily, and I was so excited. And I said to myself right then and there, I was like, this was fate. It was fate that this happened. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good trip. So after the cavalcade went by, I headed out and I was like, you know what? I don't know what the wait time is right now, but I am heading over to my favorite ride and I'm kicking this trip off with my favorite ride. And that's what I did. I went over and headed to the Haunted Mansion, which is my favorite ride. So many people are like, I can't even believe that that's your favorite, because I hate horror movies. I don't like being scared. I don't like being spooked, but I love Haunted Mansion. I don't know why. I just love it. And I headed over and I waited in line, went on Haunted Mansion, and it was the perfect way to start off my trip. I then did some walking, went into, a couple of shops, checked stuff out, looked at other wait times, and then I realized I hadn't had anything to eat in forever. So I went over to Sleepy Hollow. I had never been there before. One of the biggest things that we do when we go as a family is we make a bunch of dining reservations. And back the last time we went as a family, we had the dining plan. Well, there's no dining plan right now. So I made a few dining reservations for myself, but I was going to be doing a lot of quick service. So I was like, you know what? I'm opening up my Disney experience. I'm going on the mobile order and I'm putting in an order for this. So I did. And I went over to Sleepy Hollow for the first time, and they have this amazing chicken. It's like a chicken waffle sandwich. And it was just like, I can't even tell you. It was just so good. And I was so happy that I was finally trying this place out. I've wanted to try it for so long because I've seen the different stuff that they have there, the waffles and with the Nutella and the fruit and all of this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why can't I have that? So I was like, you know what? I'm going over and I'm getting something from Sleepy Hollows. I just looked up. So the sandwich that I got is the sweet and spicy chicken waffle sandwich. So it's, got honey sriracha glazed chicken. It's on a waffle with this like broccoli slaw. It was absolutely delicious. Yeah, it was perfect. I absolutely loved it. So I had that. After, walking around a little bit more, I went and got my favorite treat, Dole Whip. And I don't know how you guys do your Dole Whip. They have Dole Whip floats. I've seen Dole Whip, pineapple upside down cakes. Just straight up Dole Whip. But I am a Dole Whip twist kind of person. I do mine pineapple twisted with vanilla ice cream, vanilla soft serve. That's how I roll. I think the vanilla and the sweetness of the vanilla kind of cuts out the tartness of the pineapple. So I love it. Had to go get it. It's, one of my absolute favorite things. And after that time, I didn't even, ride any more rides. I was like, you know what? I plan on coming back here on my last day and spending the whole day here. I'm going to just peace out and head to the next park. And that's exactly what I did. As soon as 2:00 rolled around, which is the time that you can start park hopping, as soon as that time rolled around, I headed straight over to Animal Kingdom. Went and grabbed the bus, headed over to Animal Kingdom, and it was it was good to go from there. I was super excited. I went over and I rode the rides that I really wanted to. I got on the safari pretty fast. Like there was like no wait. Got on the safari, which was great. Got to see a bunch of animals and some of them up pretty close, giraffes. We actually saw the lions while we were there. Sometimes it's always hit or miss about whether you're going to see the lion, whether they're out or they're sleeping and they're hidden. But we were actually able to see both the male and female. I think it's usually 2 females, but we only saw 1. So it was pretty cool. I was pretty excited about that. And when I got to Animal Kingdom, one of the best parts is that they had a special pass holder entrance, and I was able to go through the pass holder entrance. That that made me excited. So I went there. I went on the safari. I checked out the Otter Grotto. They have a special little section that's just where they have like the river otters. And I didn't see any. I could see them kind of through like this log that they were behind. But they were just kind of laying down and hanging out. They weren't really very active, which was a bummer because Emily loves otters. So I was trying to get a picture for her, but I couldn't. So after that, I went over to the Tree of Life. And one of the things that I have never done in the whole time, you know, that we've been going to Disney since my honeymoon back in 2012, we have never gone up close enough to the Tree of Life to really check out the carvings in it. And I was able to do that. And it was amazing. I stood there in awe. And I was just blown away by the enormity of it and the majesty of it. It was amazing. I was able to see so many different animals, and I took tons of pictures of it. I think my favorite, there was like a squirrel or a chipmunk. And if you know me, you know I love chipmunks. So it was cute. I got to see that, and I took a picture of it to show Emily. And it was awesome. I highly recommend, if you have never gotten up as close as you possibly can to the Tree of Life, that you definitely check that out and go see it. It's definitely something that you should see if, you know, you're a big Disney fan. I would definitely check that out. So after I was done with that, I headed over to Pandora, which is my favorite part of Animal Kingdom. I think that Disney just knocked that out of the park. It is just beautiful. I love the Pandora movie, so when they announced that they were doing that, I was pumped. So I went over and I checked it out. I rode the Navi River, which is my favorite of the two rides. I can't ride the Banshee ride. I can't do that one just because I get motion sickness and all that kind of stuff. So I have a friend who has gone on it, and she told me point blank, she was like, Kristen, if you get motion sickness, do not go on this ride. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't do roller coasters. I don't do anything with big dips and big falls and all of that. So she was like, yeah, don't do it. So I went on Navi River, got a bunch of pictures from in there. And it was just beautiful. And of course, after I rode that ride, I had to go over to the Cetuli Canteen and get dinner. And this is a place I had never been and have always wanted to try because they have they look amazing, these Cheeseburger Pods. So of course I jump on my Disney Experience and the mobile order the Cheeseburger Pod dinner, a chocolate cake for dessert, and let me tell you, I will definitely be going back and doing that again. It was so, so good. I was so impressed with that. I will definitely be getting it again. And after dinner, I headed right over to, there's a little stand right next to it that sells one of my favorite drinks. And I get it without alcohol. I think you can get it with. It's the Night Blossom. And it's this combination of apple and I want to say passion fruit, but I think I might be wrong. The little balls that are in it are passion fruit, but it's this like frozen drink. It's absolutely delicious. I've tried to get Emily to try it, and I think she took a little sip and she wasn't a huge fan, but she loves the little like boba balls that are in it, that are the passion fruit ones. She loves those. I'm not sure if she loves like popping them or eating them. Probably popping them, knowing her. So I was super excited about that. I got to try a place that I had never been for food and get one of my favorite drinks, and grabbed a bunch of pictures while I was there as well that I could show Emily. And then I went back after that and headed back to my hotel. I was like, you know what? It's been a long day. I've been up since 4:00 in the morning, probably earlier. I just want to go and rest and take a shower and go to sleep. So that's what I did. I went back, I took a shower, I called my family back home, we talked, and literally right after I hung up, I look out my window and I saw the fireworks. It was like, this is the perfect ending to the best day. I was so excited. So that was day 1. So day 2, I wake up, get ready, beautiful day in Orlando, Florida, and just walking from my room over to the main building to jump on the monorail, I see just this beautiful view of the water, of the lake. It was absolutely beautiful. There was a beach. I was like, you know what? This would be a great place for my family to come because my daughter loves swimming in pools, but she also loves playing on the beach. So it'd be perfect for her. So I couldn't help but take that in. And I took pictures and I jumped on the monorail and headed over to Grand Floridian where I had breakfast reservations at the Grand Floridian Cafe. We have been to almost every restaurant, I think, at Grand Floridian. There's probably just a couple that we haven't tried. And we love the breakfast over at Grand Floridian Cafe. It's absolutely delicious. And I was able to, I started off my meal with biscuits that had like the citrus butter and coffee. And then I got this really yummy French toast and bacon. It was perfect. It was the perfect way to start my day. And then once I was done, I headed back on to the monorail and headed over to the TTC and jumped on the Epcot monorail. And it was Epcot day. I was super excited, headed right over to Epcot. And one of the first things, and like I said about my first day, one of the first things I did when I walked into Magic Kingdom was see the characters that we know and love. As soon as I walk into Epcot, who do I see? Mickey and Minnie. They were stationed there behind these hedges, socially distanced, for you to be able to stand there and take selfies with, which one of the big things going on this trip was trying to find out if there was still going to be things there to have the magic, the Disney magic. And was I still going to feel that there? Was I still going to feel excited and happy and all of that? So walking in and seeing Mickey, I can't even tell you. I almost walked right by because I was like, no, I'm not going to get he's there. I'm not going to get my picture taken. And I was like, nope, I'm going over. And Mickey and I'm getting a picture with Mickey. And I did. And he looked at me and he waved. And I stood there and I selfied it, me and Mickey. And it was awesome. And I was so excited. After that, I headed over and got in line for Spaceship Earth. I think I waited maybe 15, 20 minutes. And I rode that one. It's a classic. And went over, did a little shopping. I saw Pooh Bear while I was on the way and got a picture with Pooh Bear. And did a little shopping in the new store there, a couple of things for my daughter. And then I headed over to the World Showcase. Now, I knew that when I headed over there, that in the World Showcase, I was going to be smacked with, with Food and Wine Festival. So I was lucky enough to go during Food and Wine. And if you've never been, you definitely need to check it out because you walk around the World Showcase and there are constant, stalls and carts and, places for you to buy different foods from different countries. And it was awesome. So I headed over, and I don't know which way that you guys go when you walk into the World Showcase. If you walk in from what I'm going to say Future World, when you walk in from that way, whether you go left and you head to Mexico or you go right and you head to Canada. But I always go left and head to Mexico. Mexico is always our first stop in the World Showcase when we're coming from Future World. Now, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you a secret. But if you're heading into Epcot from the other side, if you're coming from the boardwalk and you're walking over and you're coming in from that way, you can head either to, take a right to head over to France, or you can take a left, head over to the UK. We've done that as well. And usually I will drag my family over to the UK. But this time I'm coming from Future World and I headed right over to Mexico. And of course I had to go in and check out the Mexico Pavilion, see if it was still the same as when we went a couple of years ago. And it was. Very happy to see that. And I love seeing the Dia de los Muertos stuff that they have going on there. I love seeing the Coco exhibits that they have there. It's just beautiful. I love it. My daughter and I, even though we don't have any Mexican heritage, we like to celebrate Dia de los Muertos. It was Emily's idea to start celebrating it, and we do that every year now. I think it's because of Coco that we started doing that. So, but I love checking that stuff out. And of course, I had to ride the Grand Fiesta Tour, which is the ride within Mexico. That's as we call it, the Donald Duck ride. Emily loves it because it's got Donald Duck and he's featured and she loves it. So I had to ride it for her. And it was silly and cute, and I was so happy that I did it. After that, I started walking through the World Showcase. I walked through Norway because I wanted to see for myself where Elsa and Anna were so I would know. And I was able to see them, and I could see them interacting with people, not getting close because they were socially distanced, but they were still interacting with people, and it was great. And it made me very happy to see them. And walking along, I stopped in a few countries for some food. I stopped in Japan. I stopped in China. Where else? Let's see. Where else did I stop? I stopped in other places. So I walked around. I ate. There was a very big crowd in France, which I expected because the brand new Ratatouille ride had just opened, and I expected France to be very busy. So I didn't really spend too much time there, which was a kind of a bummer for me because I love France. It's always a part of the World Showcase that I always like to check out, but I didn't get to spend too much time there. So I was really just walking through. I walked through, and then I went over to the UK, and I was kind of disappointed that a bunch of the stores were still closed. And that's one of the things that I love to do is go through the stores over in the UK. I have part of my heritage, part of my, I guess, descendants are from the UK, a lot of them. England, Ireland, Scotland. So I always love going over there and seeing what's over there. I don't know. It might seem silly, but in a way it kind of makes me feel connected to that part of my life. But a bunch of it was still closed, and that was kind of sad to see. So I kept on walking, and I headed over to Canada. And I also have familial ties to Canada as well. And of course I had to stop there, and I got the cheddar cheese soup with a pretzel roll. So good. I love that soup. Every time I can get it, I get it. And so I had to get that. And they had, I don't know if this is a new thing or if it was just for food and wine, but they had Appleseed Orchard. And it was a whole thing all with apple stuff. Apple, these like frozen apple beverages. I think they had apple cider. I know they had hard cider, which I didn't get. If you know me, you know I love hard cider. And I got this frozen apple pie, which was so good. It was this red frozen apple drink, and it had this like crumb topping on it. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And I got this apple crumb tart, which was ridiculously good. So after I had my fill and it was 2:00, it was time to hop back on, hop, yeah. It was time to park hop. So if you know to hop from Epcot, you can take the boat over to Hollywood Studios. And that's exactly what I did. Hopped on the boat, headed right over. And there were only a few things that I really wanted to do in Hollywood Studios. They have shows that I would normally go to with Emily, and I know that there are rides there that she and my husband love to go on. But me, I like Hollywood Studios. It's not my favorite park. I know there's the new Mickey and Minnie ride, Mickey's Runaway Railway, and there was a huge line for that. I really wanted to go on it, but I had promised Emily that I would wait until she was with me and we would go on it together. So I headed over to the only part of Hollywood Studios I really wanted to go to, which was Toy Story Land. And I jumped in line for my second favorite ride, Toy Story Mania, or Toy Story Midway Mania. And I got in line, and I was so excited because it's one of my favorite rides. I was pumped to be there. So rode the ride. I didn't do as good as I did in February of 2020, which I think I got like my best score that I've ever gotten. I got pretty close, but I didn't get as good. So I definitely wasn't the highest in the cart I was in either. So I think the people behind me, one of them got the best score. So I got to ride that, which was great. It made my day. And then after that, I headed back because I had to rest up and relax for something that I had going on a little bit later that night. So I went back and relaxed because what I didn't tell you guys is that I decided to take a chance that morning. I went and I had breakfast, like I said, at the Grand Floridian Cafe. Went from there to Magic Kingdom. And when I went to Magic Kingdom, I stopped over at Guest Relations, and I had been told, the after hours Boo Bash party had been sold out for a long time. But I had been told, go over to Guest Relations, see if they by chance have a ticket. I'm like, okay, all right, let's see. So that's what I did. I headed right over and got a ticket to Disney's after hours Boo Bash party. So it's their new Halloween party instead of Mickey's Not So Scary. And I was so excited. I was so excited to see that. And, after Hollywood Studios, I was like, I'm going to go back and rest and get myself ready to go over to Magic Kingdom. And that's what I did. So I went over and I went back to Magic Kingdom that day, and I had a little Zero. I'm looking at Zero right now. He's sitting on my desk. This little Zero magnet that they sold. It sits. You can have it sit right on your shoulder. It lights up. His little nose lights up, and I had him sitting on my shoulder, and I had other people that were like, "Oh, so cool! I love Zero," and all that, and it was great. I had a Nightmare Before Christmas t-shirt, and I was just so excited to be there and to be there at the party. I'm definitely bummed that I'm not going to be able to enjoy the after hours Christmas party that they have going on right now. But I was so excited that I got to see this one and I got to experience it. So they had, as soon as you walk in, they also give you a trick-or-treating bag. And I went to one place and I stood in line and waited for trick-or-treating, and they give you a handful of candy. But being by myself, I don't think it was worth it for me to do that. I was able to ride more rides. I rode Haunted Mansion again. I rode Peter Pan. I think I went on Winnie the Pooh. I was able to ride a bunch of rides that, normally would have a long wait time. So I was excited about that. I didn't really take advantage of any of like the free stuff that they have going on, water, popcorn, that kind of stuff. I didn't take advantage of any of that. I did go over to Friar's Nook for dinner, and I got this amazing mac and cheese that they had. But I have to say, I got there and I didn't mobile order beforehand. I should have, but I didn't. And I waited forever to get my food. So here it is. Here's the big advocate for mobile order. Order your food mobily if you're doing quick serve. If the place you're going has mobile order, do that. It'll tell you when it's going to be ready. So when you need to head over there. So definitely do that if you're doing quick serve stuff instead of if you're not sitting down. That way you can do it. I was bummed that I got there after, like, right as like the park was like closing before the party started, and I missed out on Pinocchio Village House. They had this flatbread pizza that I wanted to try, but literally they were closing down for the party and getting stuff ready for that before, so they weren't serving anything at that point. So I was like, oh man. But I loved the macaroni and cheese that I got over at Friar's Nook. Definitely make sure you mobile order, because do not get stuck the way that I did in like a half an hour wait for your food. It was crazy. So I did that. Like I said, I rode some rides that I really wanted to ride. I was also able to catch one of the cavalcades. I didn't get to see Jack or Sally or anything like that, or Oogie Boogie, as I was really hoping to see. But I saw Donald and Mickey and Minnie and Daisy and Pluto and, their Halloween gear. But I saw that cavalcade probably twice. While I was there, I didn't see any others. Show-wise, there was a big dance party going on. I didn't get to see much else of that. I got to see Chip and Dale. They were stationed in one place in their Halloween costumes. Chip was a pirate, I think, and Dale was a vampire. And they're one of my favorites, so I was pumped to see that. And after a little while, I was like, you know what? I've had enough. If my daughter was here, it'd be one thing, and I'd probably stick it out for majority of the party. But I think I stayed for maybe half. Maybe half, a third, something like that. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to get some rest. Well, when I went back, I did get that cake I was telling you about, the Halloween style cake, and it was delicious. So I went back, I took a shower, and I got my suitcase out and started to pack it up because I knew that the next day I was leaving. So I had to get stuff ready. So I took a shower, got into pajamas, and packed up as much as I could before having to get up and get ready the next morning. So I did that. And then the next morning, I got up, got myself ready, packed up my bag, dropped it off at down at the baggage services at the front desk, and headed out for the day. I went over to Magic Kingdom, and I was lucky enough before I left, to get a dining reservation for breakfast at Cinderella's Royal Table. Now, I've never had breakfast there. I have only had lunch and dinner. And let me tell you, breakfast, just as good. It was probably the best breakfast that I had. Being back, in Magic Kingdom for the day and having breakfast in Cinderella's castle, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So I was able to go in. I was able to see the mosaic that they've got going on. So I went in and went upstairs, and the amazing wait staff greets me. They bring me juice and coffee, and then they bring me this plate with pastries on it. And I'm like, what? Mickey-shaped blueberry muffins, chocolate croissants, regular croissants, some strawberries. I'm like, this is so much for just me. Like, I felt bad leaving a bunch of it. Like, I think I had maybe, half of a muffin and a half of a chocolate croissant, because I was like, I'm getting breakfast. I'm not gonna be able to eat all this. And then I ordered breakfast, and I got this French toast that was kind of like bread pudding, pretty much. I guess we'll just call it bread pudding, and with bacon. And it was so good. It was so rich and so delicious. I could only eat like maybe a quarter to a third of it. I felt so bad leaving so much of it, but it was so good. But I think the best thing at Cinderella's Royal Table. Now, if you've been there before, you know that one of the big things is when you walk in, you meet Cinderella. And of course, when I walked in, there was no Cinderella there. So I was kind of sad about that. But usually when you would go in, they would have princesses that would come around to every table. One of my favorite experiences ever with meeting characters and meeting princesses was meeting Ariel at Cinderella's Royal Table, and her interaction with Emily was amazing. So I was kind of sad that they didn't have all the princesses walking around, but I was very pleasantly surprised when they had Cinderella come out. And she comes out and she walks around kind of the top, and she waves to people, and she interacts that way. And if you can socially distantly take a picture, I witnessed a family doing that. I was close enough that she, waved, point blank at me, said hi to me, and all of that. But like I witnessed a little boy being able to get a socially distanced picture with her. And I thought to myself, I was like, that's awesome. I was like, my daughter would be so happy, to see her. And it made me happy that she was there and that they were still doing that part of it. So I loved that. So that was great. And I definitely recommend it if you've never had breakfast at Cinderella's Royal Table. I don't know if it's new. I don't know if they were doing it before, but if you've never had breakfast there, definitely check it out. Definitely do it. I don't know if you have to pay for it in advance. I know before, when there was the dining plan, we did it with, we used our dining credits for it. But now this time I paid for it in advance. It is expensive. I will tell you that, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. You're in Cinderella's castle. You're eating this amazing food, and Cinderella comes to say hello. It's definitely worth it. So definitely check it out if you've never had breakfast at Cinderella's Royal Table. So after that, I spent the day in my favorite park. I headed straight from Cinderella's Royal Table over to Jungle Cruise because I noticed that the whole time I was there, the wait times for Jungle Cruise were crazy busy. So I was like, you know what? I'm hopping over there and I am going to check out Jungle Cruise while the wait isn't, over an hour long. And I waited, and it was a long wait, even at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it was 9 o'clock. I forget what time breakfast was. But it was early. And it was still crazy busy. But I was able to get on, and it was great. Still, the same old amazing Jungle Cruise. There are some things that are different, which everybody knows how they restructured Jungle Cruise. Our skipper was really funny, which everybody comes to love the jokes and how funny it is and all of that. And he was great. So I was very happy about it. I think they took some things out, and it's not some things that, you would definitely miss. And if you've never ridden Jungle Cruise before, it's not something that you would go, oh, well, I heard this and this was disappointing and blah, blah, blah. No, it was great. It was awesome. So after Jungle Cruise, which was worth the wait, I headed, guess where? Back to Haunted Mansion. And I rode Haunted Mansion yet again. And I have to say, I was so happy that I got to ride Haunted Mansion every single time that I went to Magic Kingdom this trip. It doesn't always happen like that because my daughter doesn't like Haunted Mansion. So it's usually something that I have to do myself. Usually she and my husband will go over and ride a roller coaster, and I'm like, I'm going to go over and ride Haunted Mansion while you guys do that. So I was very happy to be able to do that. And waiting in line where you don't have the fast passes, I was able to see some of the things that I've missed out on because I've always done fast passes for it. So it was great, taking pictures and looking at everything and all of that. So after Haunted Mansion, I rode some more rides. I think I did Winnie the Pooh again and probably Peter Pan. And then I headed over to Tomorrowland and went on Buzz Lightyear, which we always do. And I had read about where some things were to try and get more points, but I didn't have any success with that. And then I did the People Mover, which is always great to kind of rest and relax and check things out. And we've actually been lucky. I don't know if you would call it lucky. We've been lucky on one occasion to be able to ride the People Mover and go through Space Mountain, and it was lit up. So the lights were on. And I know that's kind of, it's not great when you're actually riding Space Mountain to have the lights on, because I think it can make it more nerve-wracking. But it's really cool when you're on the People Mover to go through and to see Space Mountain. You actually see what it looks like, because when you're going through on the People Mover and you're going through Space Mountain, just like you're on the ride, it's dark. So you don't know what it looks like. So to be able to actually see what it looks like is really cool. So I did that. It was great to be able to go on that and to get different pictures of just around Tomorrowland. I was able to get some pictures of, the outside of Tron and how that progress is going, because my husband was asking me about it. He's like, oh, how's that going? It's not open. And so I was able to get some pictures for him. And then, of course, I had to ride Carousel of Progress. And I love Carousel of Progress. I don't care what anybody says. I love it. I think it's wonderful. And it may not be accurate, especially the future that they had in there is not accurate, but it was great. I love Carousel of Progress. It's one of those rides that we always took Emily on as a baby or a toddler to get her to nap. And I think there was one time where we went on and Emily stayed awake and my husband fell asleep. He can probably tell me whether I'm wrong or not, but I feel like that happened. And then I just spent more time just walking around, going through shops. I was able to see the Princess Cavalcade, which was nice, get some pictures and some video for Emily, and was able to take pictures of the mosaic over in the castle because I was able to walk through it from the front side, which is great because it's not always like that. I was able to get my favorite treat, which is, well, not my favorite, but one of my favorites, the Cheshire Cat's Tail, over by the teacups. I was able to get that one, which was great. They had this strawberry tea slushy drink. I got that too, and that was really good. I think my daughter would really like that one. So I was able to get some more pictures and check things out. I saw another cavalcade they had going on that had Moana and Peter Pan, a bunch of different random characters. So like Moana was there, which I thought was really great because we've only met Moana once, and she was stationed during a party. So it was great to see her there. Peter Pan, Alice, Moana, Gaston, Mary Poppins. And it was really great. Gaston's at the front of this, and he's like pointing at people and, being Gaston. And then when I caught this coming from the other side, Peter Pan was on my side, and he saw me with my bags, and he's like, "Are there any treasures in that bag?" I was like, "Only treasures for my daughter." And he laughed, and it was really great. And after that, I was like, it's time for me to go. So I headed back on the monorail over to the Contemporary to hang out for a little bit before my Magical Express ride came to pick me up. And I was sad. I was on the monorail, headed back to the Contemporary from Magic Kingdom, and I looked at Magic Kingdom and I was sad to go. And that's what going to Disney is. It has that kind of effect on you. You go there and you're instantly happy. And when you're leaving, you're sad because you're leaving it all behind. And I have to say, this trip, one of the big things about this trip was going to see what it was going to be like. Is it going to be the same going with my family? Is my daughter going to feel the same way about it? And I have to say the answer is yes. Now, with all the COVID restrictions and stuff like that, when you go inside a building or when you're standing in line to wait for a ride, they ask you to wear a mask. Most people did not wear masks. When they were inside buildings, they had to. They had people stationed to tell them to put on masks. But if I was waiting in a line for a ride and it was outside, I would put on a mask because there's so many people close together. But a lot of people didn't wear masks. So, I mean, that's their opinion. That's their prerogative. If they're not being forced to do it, then that's on them. But I never felt once. I wore a mask probably 80% of the time. If I wasn't in my room or I wasn't sitting and eating or taking a drink, I think there was one time I was in a park where there weren't people within probably 10 feet of me that I took my mask off and walked for a little bit without my mask. But most of the time, I want to say 80% of the time, I wore a mask. And I felt fine doing it. People are like, "Oh, it's so hot. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that." Yeah, it's hot and you're wearing a mask. I'd rather stay safe and keep myself safe and feel safe than not. So if wearing a mask is going to do that, then I wore a mask. I brought a bunch of, disposable masks that I could just throw away. I changed my mask multiple times. I had hand sanitizer and I felt great. People are like, "Oh, how are you going to feel being there?" And I felt great. I felt safe. I felt protected because of what I was doing to keep myself safe. And I definitely could see us having a great time there as a family. I can't wait to go back with my family and see what it's like there. I don't know if my husband and I are going to agree about making Emily wear a mask. Hopefully she will be vaccinated by then. We'll see. But I have to say, going back to Disney and being there, I felt great. It felt great. And I can't wait to go back again. So our next Disney trip is in about, I think my countdown is at 70 days, or it's like, I have my phone with me. I'm going to pull it up. Oh, it's 69 days. 69 days until we go back to Disney. And that's the family trip. We're going for about 8 days. We're going Sunday to Sunday. So I can't wait. We can't wait. So we'll see what it's like, how Emily's like. I'll definitely let you guys know what she thinks, and I'll have her let you know what she thinks when we go. So we go back as a family in 69 days, and then a little bit after that, a few more months, I go back for my second solo trip. Well, whether it stays solo, I don't know. It could be that I have a friend or, family, my sister or my mom or somebody come with me. Or a friend. I have a couple of girlfriends that have said that they would love to come. Not sure that we'll get to. It could just be me again, which is completely fine with me. Now that I've done it, I definitely think I could do it again. So yeah. So Disney in January with the family, 69 days. And then Disney by myself again in April. So I'm super excited about that. So yeah. So that's how it was. My first solo Disney trip. And I can't wait to do it again. So that brings this episode of the Disney Life Happy Wife podcast to a close, I guess. So thank you so much for listening, guys. It means the world to me that you guys are taking your time to listen to my podcast and let me know what you think. Like I just said, let me know what you think. Review. Give me a rating, subscribe, follow, all that kind of stuff. Where can you follow me? Social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. Follow me. The Disney Life Happy Wife podcast. Just head on out and follow me there. Where can you listen to me? Well, besides from where you're listening right now, you can listen to me on Spotify, Apple, Google, Pandora, Amazon, so many. iHeartRadio, pretty much all the places you can listen to a podcast, you can listen to me. You can even listen on Facebook now. So on my Disney Life Happy Wife podcast Facebook page, you can actually listen to the podcast there as well, which is pretty new to me. I just found out that they were doing that. So definitely go wherever you can listen to podcasts, you can check me out. And I know I have been doing some shout outs to some other Disney podcasts and shops and all that kind of stuff. So big shout outs that I'm going to send out today is to the Disney Underground podcast. I am actually going to be on that podcast. I recorded a couple of months ago. Got to speak with Jean from that podcast, and we talked about some of my favorite character interactions. So I will definitely have to let you guys know when my episode comes out. And so besides Disney Underground podcast, definitely go check out 1953 Designs. It is a Disney shirt and headband, not band company, and they are amazing. I believe that they are over in California. I want to say, I have to check on that. I think that's where they're based, but they're awesome. I got a bunch of compliments on my trip for the shirts that I wore that were theirs. If it wasn't theirs that I was wearing, it was the Lost Bros shirts I was wearing, who I'm also going to shout out today, the Lost Bros. So if it wasn't one, it was the other. 1953, they have a lot of great classic Disney t-shirts. I got compliments on my Summer of 53 shirt, which, if you know, it's a Peter Pan shirt, and it has the mermaids from Mermaid's Lagoon. And then I got one on my Sherwood Forest shirt, which a little boy was talking to me on the monorail about how he loved Peter Pan. And I'm sorry, not Peter Pan, Robin Hood. Sherwood Forest Robin Hood. He was telling me how much he loved Robin Hood and that Little John was his favorite. And I was telling him how Lady Cluck was my favorite, and it was really cute. And if I wasn't getting compliments on that, I was getting compliments on my Lost Bros shirts that I was wearing. I did a couple of outfit changes. So people had seen my shirts, and they were like, "Oh, Lost Bros." And I'm like, yep. And love them and love their style. They've got Disney style as well. They're based in Orlando, which I was looking for them when I was at the parks, but I did not see them. But love their clothes, love their shirts. I have tons of them. So between 1953 designs and the Lost Bros, like, they make up my whole Disney wardrobe, I guess we'll say. So definitely go check them out. If you do check out 1953 designs, you can use code Kristen, KRISTING, Kristen G15 to get 15% off. So definitely go check them out. Go check out the Lost Bros and go listen to the Disney Underground. They are so awesome, and I will let you guys know when my episode of that show comes out. So again, thank you for listening to the podcast, and hopefully we get another podcast episode out real soon. With the holidays and everything coming up, you never know. This is a very busy season for my family. We have Thanksgiving coming up this week. We have my birthday. My birthday is my birthday and my sister's birthday. My brother-in-law's birthday is also on Thanksgiving, so is my sister-in-law's birthday. My niece's birthday is this weekend. Then Emily's birthday and Christmas, and it's a crazy busy time. But hopefully we will get an episode out to you guys. I do owe you an episode of me and Emily talking about 2 new Disney movies that came out over the summer. So I will get that to you guys as well. So thank you. I hope you guys have a magical rest of your week,